I'm going to admit people as they join. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is John Delia, and I'm going to walk you through metaverse investing in digital real estate. I'll go ahead and share my screen. For those who are here, just let me know if you can see my screen. We'll do the presentation portion of it, and then we'll jump into an interactive portion. Once again, thanks for being here. Today's webinar is going to be on earning income in the metaverse. Get rid of that. Earning income in the metaverse and what is digital real estate. Let me just tell people not to text me. Comes on screen. All right, here we go. Thank you for bearing with me. All right, so what is digital real estate investing? So what is today's webinar? What it is it's going to be informational, educational, and a brief overview. It's going to be somewhat surface level. You're not going to learn everything you want to know in today's webinar. There's plenty to learn. So feel free to continue, but this can help be a starting point. And then we're going to do a screen share / a walkthrough in this webinar today. What it's not investment advice, it's not legal advice, and it's not tax advice. Once again, you're going to have to do a lot of your own research on this journey and hire the necessary professionals to help you mitigate and manage your journey. So who am I? My name is John Delia Jr. I've been a real estate investor for the past 12 years. My educational background is in business and city and regional planning. I've been a blockchain enthusiast for years now, a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years at this point. And I am a software investor. We've been building a platform and a real estate investment education company called Housing Joint Venture. So we've been very enthusiastic over the years about blockchain and software engineering. So we'll just level set and say, where are we now? I know we use metaverse, we use the term blockchain, but what does that actually mean? So, the internet has gone through 3 phases. The first phase being a read-only and decentralized environments. There was Netscape, Google, MSN, all these large AOL platform providers. Then we moved into the social media age, which was Web 2, which was very centralized, and you have intermediaries leveraging us as users for content, data, etc., and there's no ownership. Now we're moving into Web 3, which is a more decentralized or peer-to-peer environment where we're removing intermediaries, and now the users themselves have ownership and authority in these platforms. So what is the metaverse? And all the definitions here, I just made about 30 minutes ago, thinking through it myself at a coffee shop. So my goal is to kind of use human speak, not really technical definitions. Once again, you can do your own research and build on that. So what is the metaverse? So it's a digital virtual reality spaces and environments built using blockchain technology. And then I'm using a buzzword. So what is blockchain? So blockchain is a decentralized or all digital box, or if you look at the box reference, think of it as block systems for storage of data, information, and is extremely difficult to modify or change. So you're storing data and information in these boxes, otherwise known as blocks. That's put on a digital ledger on the internet. And on these blockchains, it's very difficult to modify or change this information, and it's in a peer-to-peer environment or decentralized. So now we'll talk about a specific metaverse. I wanted to really just focus this webinar. There are plenty of these digital built environments out there built on the blockchain. I wanted to talk about one that I'm very familiar with, in which we're currently earning income on the blockchain. So it's called Megacryptopolis. So even before we jump into why Megacryptopolis? Because there's multiple metaverses out there. There's a lot of, hype and trend around this subject now. So really, why did I select this particular metaverse? First, it's because of the tokenomics, which means what is the philosophy behind the token construction? And by token, I mean this metaverse created their own cryptocurrency token called the Mega token that is traded decentralized. And that token has a certain economic theory and thesis that is implemented that allows us users to participate. And I believe they have strong tokenomics. All of the tokenomics are publicly available for you to read their white paper and their research on how they structured their monetary policy, their fiscal policy, et cetera. I should take a step back and also mention that a lot of these metaverses, particularly with Mega, it's based as the model of the financial real world in terms of real estate investing and developing real estate. And that's one of the reasons I really liked it. So some of the same, I guess, economic models of micro and macroeconomics are mirrored in the tokenomics of this. I don't want to call it a game. I want to call it an ecosystem, but I think it is disguised as a game because you have these graphic user interfaces and characters and avatars, which somewhat takes a level of seriousness away from this economic environment that is ultimately a zero-sum game in which we're trading and we're exchanging money and cryptocurrencies. So next, I liked Mega because of the track record. I think in 2021, we saw the explosion of blockchain. You saw a lot of large publicly traded companies, specifically Facebook, change their name to Meta and other blockchain-related environments. However, cryptocurrency and blockchain is not something that's new. It's been something that's been developed over decades. At this current juncture, specifically, I'm talking about the Ethereum blockchain, and particularly for Megacryptopolis, I like the fact that this ecosystem or game has been around since almost 2017, 2018. So it's not something that was new in the last year that popped up. It's something that has an established track record and a history. The next reason I selected Mega is because of the community behind it. Because this is now no longer a central authority who would push the regime or the business plan or the roadmap, this is now a group of developers who have tokenized their vision and allowed other people to buy the cryptocurrency and participate in the decisions and how this ecosystem moves. I like that there's a very robust community around it, no different than any other enthusiast community. So whether you think of these communities as Apple enthusiast or Harley Davidson enthusiast, there's a robust, social media presence, Discord group, Telegram group, medium.com. There's a robust environment of people around the world who are participating in this particular metaverse. So now what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the metaverse on this portion. So I'm going to hop on my browser for those being able to see my screen. Particularly, I'm using the Google Chrome browser because I'm able to attach a cryptocurrency wallet. The specific wallet I'm using is called MetaMask, and it allows you to get on and log on to decentralized applications, which is different than your traditional browsers because you're going to have signed transactions on the digital ledger using your cryptocurrency wallet. And MetaMask particularly is a free decentralized alternative that anyone can set up a wallet. Here it is on my browser. So now I'll go back, and for me, I have it on my saved tabs, but I'm going to jump into their website. Whenever you're hopping onto any of the metaverses, you want to look at this lock over here to ensure, am I at the right website and is this the right security? On these cryptocurrency wallets, you're going to be responsible for being a steward of your own financial assets, which is a lot of responsibility. I tend to use the analogy of flying a plane versus getting on a commercial flight. When you go on the internet to fly somewhere, you get on Delta, you buy a ticket, you go to the airport, you get on the airplane. You don't even question who the pilot is. You just trusted that they did their own research and they put the time necessary to get the licenses and the regulatory approvals to fly that plane. So in cryptocurrency, for these self-custodial wallets, just like MetaMask, I'm responsible for all the secret phrases or encryptions necessary to either remove or onboard assets. And like getting your private pilot's license, if I get into a Cessna to fly, I'm responsible for the safety of the landing and the myself. So I think it's that same analogy. For those who can see my screen, this is Megacryptopolis, the metaverse I'm specifically thinking about. And what it's done here is it's meant to mirror the real world in terms of the real estate. And, I'll use the United States. So what Mega has are districts, which are states essentially. And each state has their own city, and each city has different parcels of land. And instead of, let's say, governors of each state, you have owners of a state. So when the game launched, they allowed people to invest cryptocurrency in order to become a governor or a owner of a district. And what that does is essentially get you access to different earning strategies in the game. Everything in this game is very well documented. That's another reason I really enjoy it. And they have two things that they offer. First, when you log on, you get the main newspaper. I tend to think of this as the Financial Times. And, at the top, what you're seeing here are all these different commodities. So as I mentioned, when you build in the real world, you need water, electric, brick, sand, stone, and different commodities in order to build. And what the game has done is it's modeled these same commodities traded in the cryptocurrency of Ethereum here. And no different than the Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, or where you get your financial information. The commodity markets are 24/7, and you're able to see what's happening in these markets. Now, when I mentioned that it's like the United States and there's states and cities, this game is built around collecting taxes, and where those taxes come from are just like in the real world. Anything you want to do in the game, you have to pay fees, which are paid in Ethereum. So if I want to build a building, I have to pay Ethereum. If I want to extract resources or value, I have to pay fees. Those fees get put into a global and a local fund that are distributed daily using the smart contract. So it's no middleman doing it, it's the algorithm. And that's where we earn our income daily. So this is the newspaper or the Financial Times. And like I mentioned, it tells you what's going on. It gives you all the stats of how many buildings are for sale, what's been rented, what hasn't, how many parcels of land, what's been constructed, what are the most inexpensive pieces, what's moving on the secondary markets, etc. So this whole game was built to model, as I mentioned, the real world, just doing it on a blockchain. And really what clicked for me in this game is if I buy a single family residence in Dayton, Ohio, I have to inject cash, and then I'm dealing with tenants and toilets, et cetera, and maintenance, et cetera. On this blockchain, it's a little different because if I build the same building here, I do have these digital citizens that take some level of care, but for the most part, when I looked at the net earnings, they were a little more profitable, and it gave me a lot more time and time flexibility and physical location sovereignty. But we'll get more into that as we continue. So what else do I like about this game, Mega? They have and I'm calling it a game, but once again, it's an ecosystem built on Ethereum blockchain. The game has rules just like the United States of America. So when you think of the US, you have laws and you have the IRS tax code. The game has those same philosophies where every aspect of the game has been thought through, from tokenomics to strategy. And even before you could begin to invest any money, you really have to read the handbook, read the manual, and figure out a strategy. So in the real world of real estate investing, you'd have to get an education, decide which property market or what category or sector you want to invest in, develop your investment thesis, and then you'd go and find a neighborhood, a property, a site, build a model, et cetera. It takes that same level of diligence here on the blockchain. So it's very much, strategy. So everything from how do you get started is well documented, what cryptocurrency wallets, what are the ways to play, what are the strategies that are here. And I'm not going to dive into that, and everyone can kind of hop on your own and look at it, but I just want to show the brief overview. What are the category of assets? So, if you're going to own from these digital real estate, what type of real estate? There's residential, office, commercial, municipal, industrial. Every aspect of the game is owned by the people. And, each asset comes with its different accountability. Now, I want to take a step back and kind of use another analogy, such as a video game. If anyone grew up playing video games or has played video games, has kids who play video games, currently Nintendo, Sony, Xbox, they fund all the development money to create these video games in which then the consumers purchase the game, purchase the console, and exchange their money for the value that these, corporations have put up front. The difference in Web3 and in the blockchain is that now, instead of those corporations funding money up front, it's us peers and investors who are investing in developing some of these metaverses, so that ultimately the end users are going to be able to enjoy the different experiences that come on the on this virtual reality environment. And no different than some of the in-game environments of video games now, where kids are purchasing digital clothing, wearables, etc., to hang out on the internet with their friends. Those same, I guess, representations are represented as NFTs on this blockchain, in which, you know, us, once again, peers or end users can fund. Now, I do want to say this, of where are we in the total ecosystem of that video game analogy to what the metaverse is. And particularly for Megacryptopolis, I like to explain it as we're in the industrial era. So I'm kind of hovering over this metaverse right now. And as you'll see, this is a kind of a, a site view. I'm losing my thoughts, a site view. And essentially you'll see a lot of these empty green parcels. If this was a dense city, a lot of those green parcels would be built upon, and each one of these parcels can be purchased to build buildings, etc. So when you see a lot of no people hanging around, this is a real-time action. There's no one, as opposed to if you were in another metaverse where you see a bunch of free players. You know, that's because I call it the industrial era. Right now, the investors are earning Ethereum to help build out the metaverse, in which then, you know, we're paying to help build it, but there'll be a juncture where this will be a totally 3D metaverse where the consumers or the people, the public, won't have to actually pay to play. They'll go on missions and adventures and quests so that they can earn cryptocurrencies, NFTs, etc. And that's kind of like the strategy game. So the reason we're able to earn is because us investors are helping to build out the metaverse by building buildings and investing in the infrastructure, so that advertisers, consumers, and free players can enter and enjoy the space for themselves. So I'd say that right now this metaverse is in the industrial era, and in its roadmap or thesis, it's planning to launch the fully decentralized free metaverse in the next 12 months, in which we should see more game growth. So before I dive a little deeper, I just want to kind of talk about where can you get research about this game. So there, and I'm calling it a game, but once again, this is a fully developed ecosystem built on the Ethereum blockchain. There are different public websites, no different than Yahoo Finance, where you can look at what's going on in the cryptocurrency markets. I've just hopped on to coinmarketcap.com. And as I mentioned, the Megacryptopolis game is really a cryptocurrency token that has been listed on decentralized exchanges. So it trades, I want to say, similar to a stock, but I don't want to make that financial reference. You'll have to do your own research to understand how you view this cryptocurrency. But anyway, when we talked about some of the tokenomics, so the token name itself is called MEGA, Mega, and I'm able to click on it and select it. It takes me here. Currently, it's ranked among all the listings on this platform, 6,310. And it tells you currently what the total market cap is. So total, this ecosystem right now has a market cap value of nearly $6 million. In the last 24 hours, it's only traded about $6,000 in value. And the token itself has different value. The exchange rate from one mega token to a US dollar is about $5.93 at this current price. And on this right-hand side, it tells you a little more about it. Currently, the token is capped to 1 million tokens. There are, I should go to CoinGecko, another exchange to kind of get a better view. So let's just go to the exchange real quick. And once again, feel free to ask questions as I'm going through this. So CoinGecko gives you a little more. The total supply is 1 million tokens. So if anyone's familiar with Bitcoin and Bitcoin's fixed atmosphere of there's only 21 million Bitcoin being minted ever, I really like the tokenomics in this, where it said, oh my God, there's only going to be 1 million mega token. And for the micro and macroeconomics, the game is based off of this token. And some of us earn Ether and some of us earn the token, which can be converted to any cryptocurrency. And it's a really fixed, cryptocurrency. So now I'll go back to the game and I'll basically show you something we've done in the game. So once again, if I use the analogy of this metaverse is similar to the United States, where there are states, which are districts and different cities and parcels, which you can build. You can also have digital corporations or ownership entities on the blockchain. So for us, housing joint venture, this is my avatar. I call myself Black Titan, kind of a funny joke. But, we built a digital corporation that's not the same as a US corporation, but you can read about it in the instructions. That's here on the in-game environment. So for us, this is Housing JV's Fund 1. We have multiple corporations, and it tells you who's a member. Right now, there's just one person. It's closed to invitation only, and there's one business center in this corporation. We recently set this corporation up for particular purposes of, one, getting clear data. You'll see in the last 25 days, the one asset in this corporation earned about 0.26677 Ethereum. We earn Ethereum every single day. So just to convert that, typically I would type in ETH to USD converter, press enter, and that's in the last 25 days. So we said what was that number? 267 or 2677. In the last 25 days in Ethereum, this building has earned about $923 in Ethereum. And you'll say, well, what did you have to invest to get that? For this particular building, I think we invested about $45,000. But when you click on the corporation, which is completely public, the thing about the blockchain and the Ethereum blockchain is all of this information is public. Anyone can go to this website. Anyone can use their cryptocurrency wallet to log on to this decentralized application, and anyone can audit what's going on in this metaverse. That's another reason we love it from a peer-to-peer standpoint, because there's immense amount of transparency in this ecosystem, and these markets operate 24/7. So as I mentioned, there's only one member, which is myself, and we transferred this building to this corporation about 25 days ago. And you'll actually see the asset. And when I talk about transparency, once the asset pops up, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And as you notice, there's these coordinates. Think about your local government municipality, and your property number gives you the GIS coordinates, both from the public record, which is your county auditor or recorder, and from a GIS standpoint. It's the same thing mirrored on the Ethereum blockchain. So if I go to show on the map, the blocks of this blockchain are being represented as visual buildings, but these blocks are just financial data being stored to show that we invested fiat or cryptocurrency value. And by investing that value, the block information is interacting with the smart contract, which is programmed to do certain things at certain times. So for us to earn, because we've invested in a certain category and a certain asset, et cetera, when the smart contract executes on its daily basis, it sends the proper amounts of Ethereum or cryptocurrency to the proper addresses and wallets. So as you see here, here's the building represented. We have a logo on this building. Later on, we believe that these same buildings, once these metaverse is completely built for the free players, advertisers are going to want to use them for digital advertising of different brands, etc. When you click on that parcel, it'll pop up this little queue here, and it shows, this is called influence. Once again, if you want to learn about some of the in-game, what all these things mean, you can click on the game guide, which is all public, and it'll tell you what these ideas actually mean. But this webinar is just for a quick overview. So what we love about this is, just like you'd have physical office tenants, etc., you have that same representation as these NFTs, which are non-fungible tokens, which are each traded as a separate asset. But let me slow down a bit and click on this building. Everything on this blockchain is recorded, as I said. So what I love about this is that in the future, when you want to trade these assets and when there are secondary markets, when you want to know all of the clear ledger inputs of this building, everything is recorded on the ledger for total history. So every action I take for this building is recorded on the blockchain. And you can see here that the history of this building, well, December 7th, it started because it was transferred to this new corporation, but we sent all of these digital citizens to this building. And as I keep scrolling, you'll see we installed satellites or different fixtures to the building. Back in July, citizens were sent to this building. And last year, March 8th, we purchased the land to build the building for 0.84 ETH, trading at last March's ETH price. So that gives you an overview of just some of the history. The earnings are tracked a little differently. So if I go to the corporation, because it's not an individual, it's a corporation, the corporation actually gets the earnings. So if I click on events, every day, this building sends us about 0.01 or so ETH. And every day it just tracks it because the smart contract executes. So the numbers vary daily, but it's always typically around 0.01, and that keeps going. And it collects into a fund until you decide to withdraw that. But everything on this is typically, it's known as an NFT. So this building is represented as an NFT. Right now I have this building listed for sale for 300 ETH. If someone's willing to pay for it, that'd be great. You can collect the funds here. Each of these citizens, you have to have citizens in these buildings to be able to earn income. So each of these citizens, I'm going to move my browser so we can go to the market. Down here at this bottom menu, you'll see here that there's a market. So no different than, let's say, Craigslist. You can go on the private market and you can buy pieces of land. You can buy citizens, which are all NFTs that can be traded, that all have their own value. What these points mean are higher influence. The higher the influence, the higher you earn. So all of these things are kind of described on the in-game guide. To build buildings, you have to use commodities as I described, no different than the real world, although those commodities can be purchased on the market. Everything is meant to mirror the real world. So I'm gonna pause here. We're at 30 minutes. I'm going to go back to the presentation to kind of get some key takeaways. And then I want to just open it up to Q&A because I think that'd be a very good opportunity. So we're going to go back to the slideshow. We kind of opened the metaverse. We touched on a lot here in a very little amount of time. So let's just talk about some key takeaways to kind of wrap my head around some takeaway thoughts, because we went through a lot here. So one, unlike physical real estate, currently there is no bank financing to build on the metaverse. So how is digital real estate, metaverse real estate different from the real world? In the real world, you can go to a bank and you can get leverage. You can use a certain percentage down and the bank will finance you that money to build the building, construct the project, and earn your economic reward. On the blockchain, currently at this current juncture, there are not many lending opportunities to use leverage. So no leverage means no down payment. That building we showed you, we invested about 45,000. It earns nearly 1,300 a month in Ethereum. We had to use that in cash. So, the risk aspect is using cash without leverage, et cetera. You're going to have to be aware of that. It's a major thing. So all cash / cryptocurrency up front, which then you only earn cryptocurrency on the back end, which can be traded to any cryptocurrency or fiat currency. So it's okay to start small. You don't have to do a big lump sum, but you're going to be investing incrementally, and that's how that building was built. Next key takeaway is to do your own research. Once again, we touched on a lot here, and there's a lot of information to know. So it's not wise to follow hype or media trends. It's very important for you to read the white papers, to do your own research, develop your own unique perspective and investment thesis. You don't want to just be swayed by what others' opinions are or what others think. You want to become very systematic and methodical about what are your key performance indicators. How do you quantify success, and what does that look like for your own individual investment thesis? And finally, you're going to want to find credible sources for information and data so that as you're doing your own research, you trust, the source of that information, both primary and secondary. And finally, you're going to want to know when you have to take action and get started. Like anything with this new Web3 environment, with the metaverses, et cetera, there's different levels of comfort for maturity in an investment market from when an investor might want to allocate or invest capital. So the same here, after you've done your research, you have to decide over what time horizon and how comfortable you are with your capital allocation strategy. So thank you. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to open it up for questions and answers. So feel free to unmute yourself. Thank you for participating so far in this webinar.
Hey, John, this is Damien here. I did have a quick question for you. Good to see you.
Hey, Damien.
I guess my question is, you talked about resources, and I know you went over two that you kind of show when you went over Megacryptopolis, but like if you could talk about any other resources that you might use to collect information.
So when you say resources, you're saying data points to do research?
Data points to do research
Awesome.
about the crypto space, or particularly when it comes to virtual real estate?
Okay, so even before I go to virtual real estate, I want to understand the fundamentals of a particular market. So in blockchain, and specifically since we're describing the Ethereum blockchain, because there are multiple blockchains out there, you need to find out who are the authorities in the blockchain space. So one company we like is called Consensus. Let's see if I can find blockchain, the correct spelling, bear with me. But Consensus, ooh, that's not it, that's consistency. They developed, let me just go to MetaMask. They are the ones who created the MetaMask wallet, and they have a lot of resources and research dedicated behind this project. So one, I would find out who are the big, here it is, Consensus Foundation. Who are the big players in the space, and what can I learn about the underlying technology? So once again, let's just go to Google and let me type in Consensus. They are a software company. So you can go to consensus.net. And then what I like to do is they do have resources. You can go to learn and you can click on blockchain, or you can click on Ethereum 2.0. You can click on anything, but they have free webinars. They have free research. They have free information for understanding, because we talked about Mega being a cryptocurrency token, etc. So Consensus is going to help you understand what is a cryptocurrency token, what is a blockchain, what is a cryptocurrency, what is Ethereum. So one, I would say, put yourself through self-education. Another easy one is Udemy. And I know this sounds crazy, but Udemy is one where you could type in Udemy blockchain, and it's going to give you the top courses on Udemy blockchain. And I'd be willing personally to invest $14, $18, $100 to get information. My another great one is YouTube University, but that could be swayed. But essentially, you want to just decide what are the primary and secondary credible institutions that you could go for information. In addition, you want to go to the particular project. So for like Megacryptopolis, I'm gonna just use that one as an example. When I go to one of these cryptocurrency exchanges, they're going to give you a lot of the necessary information about, the project that they're promoting, because they have requirements for that project being listed on their website. So, over here, when I scroll down under community, it gives you their Twitter, it gives you their Medium. Chat, it gives you access to their Discord. I'd say definitely hop into their Discord, look into their Telegram, but you're going to want to be almost like an investigative journalist, an investigative reporter, or a research analyst, where you're going to set up a series of questions or assumptions that you need to find the right data to respond to. So, I would say before you go to your resources, develop a hypothesis of what you're trying to prove. So I'm trying to prove whether Megacryptopolis is credible or not credible. And here's how I'm going to do it. And then that's what I would do to kind of work my way backwards for whether it's Megacryptopolis or Decentraland, or once again, any other metaverse that you might think about. I hope that answered your question.
Yep, I'm on Consensus right now. Thanks.
Awesome. Any additional questions? Awesome. Well, thank you guys for participating today. And
Hey, John.
hi.
Hey, this is Alan. I just have a real quick question.
Please, yes, Alan.
We're in the real estate investing, just like you do. So how do I translate the some of the elements in the real estate investing? You have wholesaling, you have the lending part, which you said is not quite ready yet. Everything's all cash transaction. You have the buy and hold, you have the fix and flip. So I'm trying to just see, and again, I've not signed up yet, so I may be asking questions that are irrelevant, but I just want to put it out there. So how do I parallel the activity in the real estate investing into the metaverse or digital real estate investing? And what are the opportunities if I want to jump into that, right? Is there anything as wholesaling out there? Or I think I heard you on a buy and hold. That's one of those things you're doing. But what about the other ones?
Yes, Alan, thank you very much for that question. I'm going to once again frame that question using the metaverse we discussed today, Megacryptopolis. So I will actually hop back into Megacryptopolis. I think your question is excellent, because for myself, although I'm a software enthusiast, a blockchain enthusiast, that's not where my professional expertise lies. My professional expertise lies in real estate investment, city and regional planning, and construction and development. Now, for building in different metaverses, when I wanted to wrap my head around this, I said, oh my God, physical real estate and digital real estate are the same. If you think about ultimately what we're doing, we're just building in now online and virtual spaces instead of physical spaces. So when you're talking about, let's say, different strategies within the game, it's no different than when you want to talk about strategies in the real world using real estate. So I'm just going to hop in really quickly and I'm going to show you a couple of ways to frame strategy. And once again, just within the context of this metaverse. So because I'm already logged in, you can see up here, I have different resources. I have wood, I have brick, I have sand. All of these, once again, were commodities necessary to build buildings. My New York Times pops up automatically, how many assets sold, what are the trading values in ETH, what new listings are there, etc. So instead of opening the news.
We can't see a screen.
Oh, excuse me, let me share my screen. Let me slow down here. Thank you for that. Let's go to Zoom. Let's go to share screen. Can you see my screen now, Alan?
Yeah.
Awesome. So once again, I hopped into the metaverse. I'll just click enter one more time. So this is just calling the blockchain to update the data and information. And so, notice, so it's loading essentially, but what is it doing? It's logging on to this decentralized application. So once again, when we get here, you're dropped into the main interface for us as developers and builders, and you have your Financial Times, New York Times, or Megacryptopolis Times. And it shows you, what was added to the global fund, what was distributed, what assets sold, what was the trading volume, etc. But I don't want to read the news right now. I'm going to go to my assets, which I have in this wallet, 3 particular buildings using 3 strategies. One strategy doing energy production, no different if you were going to harvest gas, electric, etc. in the real world. I have commercial office buildings, and then I have also residential buildings. Each one has a different strategy within the game. Now, I'm going to click on this office building, go to show on the map, just so I can hop to the particular district or state, which is here it is. Once again, all the information automatically pops up for my wallet. But what I'm going to share with you is one strategy I had was I'm going to build an office building because down here on the right-hand corner is the global fund. In this game or in this ecosystem, 394.58 ETH are locked into this global fund, ETH to USD converter. That's a smart contract. So let's just say 400 because I don't remember the number. But that's nearly, what is that? $1.3 million are locked into the smart contract for distribution to players. And that's where the global taxes or fees go. And then there's local. So for the strategy I use, I said, I want to get a piece of the global fund every day. I'm going to build a commercial office building. But look at these 4 parcels of land here. I could decide to myself, it took me $45,000 to build this global office building. Over here, do I really and that was at the previous price of Ethereum. Ethereum is an asset that trades 24/7 and it's volatile. So, when I built it last year, when I built it March last year, maybe Ethereum was trading at 1,800 US dollars as a conversion. Today, the price of Ethereum is $3,500. So to buy one parcel of land next to this global office building right now is 192 Ethereum. Oh my gosh. And in the game economics, the price of Ethereum, when you purchase land, forces all the other parcels. So one parcel of land is nearly $7,000. And to build a size building like this, you need 4. So that's another, and each time you buy one, it goes up, the neighboring price goes up in value. So you're talking, just to purchase this land. So one might say, man, it's a little too expensive for me to buy these 4 parts of land. So instead, I might go to the market and say, okay, I can't afford to build from the ground up like the real world. Maybe I will buy an existing building. So I can go to this land plots on the market. And right here, you're going to see that here's a small level 1 office building that you can buy. And here's a price in Ethereum. So one strategy might say, instead of build ground up buildings, I'm going to go to the market or the MLS or Craigslist, and I'm going to try to find an undervalued piece of real estate in this game that instead of me building from the ground up, I'm going to buy. That's a strategy. So instead of building from the ground up, you're going to find an undervalued asset. Another strategy is, you mentioned wholesaling. So let's say, Alan, you were able to get your head around the economics, the way the game or the ecosystem performed, and you were really bullish on this investment opportunity. You might develop a white paper, you might develop, information around it and resources like a supplemental resource guide that you could provide third-party investors. Now, once again, it's not investment advice, but if I was thinking like a wholesaler whose job it is to find an undervalued asset and then get control of it and trade that asset to somebody else and transfer my control rights, I could say to myself, I'm going to try to find the most undervalued piece of digital metaverse real estate here. And then I'm going to go find someone who's either in the ecosystem or wants to get into the ecosystem. And I'm going to try to sell them that asset and show them this opportunity for a fee as a wholesaler. So you could either purchase it yourself, discounted, and sell it over, or you could show them that opportunity. But that's another way I would look at it if I wanted to wholesale, let's say in a potential metaverse environment. It's, it's applying the same strategies you would to overcome an obstacle in a real world, to get site control, to get, a development loan, et cetera. And you're just applying it to an Ethereum blockchain, which is storing this financial data, et cetera. Just on a public ledger. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, this is great, really interesting. And, I'll let other people ask questions, but, the follow-up question now would be, what are the rules of the game in terms of laws, right? I mean, even when we're doing real estate investing, you have to follow certain rules, and, there are do's and don'ts. It looks like in here, I don't have to, some of those I don't have to worry about because it's a virtual ecosystem. And so maybe I just need to kind of get myself well versed into the ecosystem and kind of find my way around and see. The other thing from what you said, it looks like even seller financing might be creative financing. Let's just put it this way. It might be an opportunity that you can multiple ways of doing it with almost like unlimited, right? Creativity here. So this is very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Hey, Alan, real quickly, if you're looking on my screen, if you look at when I clicked over here to this parcel that I don't own, but I'm aware of it, this guy's wallet comes up of who owns it. And look what it says: all for sale, Defensor, Discord. So one, he's telling you all of these sites that he owns are for sale. He's telling you where to find him, which is in the Discord. And then this is his wallet address, which I can click on, and I can go to Ether scan. And this is, once again, when you find out the infrastructure to be able to look at wallets on a public ledger, I can type it in and I can see his transaction history. I can see checking Ethereum, let it go to the blockchain. He only has 200 USD. I can see what tokens he has. But if I go back and I say, hey, I want to find him, I can open up Discord and I can go to the Megacryptopolis Discord, which is very well established. And I might type his name in, Defensor, and look, hey, there he goes. He pops up. And I was already negotiating with him about trying to buy his portfolio, but it's just like the real world. And then to follow up with what you also said about the rules of the game guide is extremely robust, and it tells you all the rules to engagement. So, the war is fought, we're won before it is fought. Ultimately, if I were new to this game and I was very interested, I would print out every single page of this game guide and I would study it, no different than if I was going to study the US tax code or the real estate investment, book. It's he who learns the game. Think of this as chess. Chess has different strategies and ways to win the game and become a master. So if the mastery is I want to, become a master of investment on the blockchain and digital real estate, it's going to take the same. And that's why the rules are do your own research and decide how much time you have to invest into this new, environment. And partially it's you have to study. And another part of it is application, just like in the real world, until you start applying, your investment thesis to properties and trying to get things under contract and calling sellers, it's not going to be real. But the game is very well, the ecosystem, we call it a game, but that's just to keep, I guess, traditional people away for a little while. It's very well documented. Here's the story. This started in 2017. you know, in each milestone, and then, hey, learn how to play. And it tells you learn the basics. And then, you know, each step is what are the building types? If I click on office, you know, construct an office building as mentioned, allows for collecting Ethereum from the global and district funds on a regular basis. I was like, I'm a real estate income investor. I want income. What are the requirements to build a mega building? You have to start with you have to buy 4 parcels to make a mega building. And each one of these activities is 4 level 1 buildings, then 4 level 2, ultimately to get to a mega. Then you say, okay, what are the commodity pricing? So, you know, then you're saying, okay, how much does steel cost, which is shown here? I need 1,400 pieces of steel to go mega. Well, I might go to the market, resources, and I'm going to go to resources, steel. How much does it cost? And I'll go to, deposit. It wants Ethereum. But once again, everything is documented, and you can create your business plan or investment thesis as a exercise even before you allocate any capital. So I'm going to stop the screen share there. Hope that once again was a good follow-up to your question. That was an excellent question. Thank you for that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it only on Ethereum, or are there any other currencies that's like you can use to buy?
That's a great question. So this particular Megacryptopolis is both on the Ethereum blockchain and the Tron blockchain. And when you get started, you get to decide, do you want to play on the Tron side or the Ethereum side? Some of the other blockchains or metaverses, excuse me, you can look in their white paper and in their tokenomics, and they'll tell you what blockchain they're built on top of. So another example might be Decentraland. Decentraland is built on the Ethereum blockchain, and their token is traded in Ethereum. So I hope that answers your question, but this game is both Tron, which is a blockchain, and Ethereum, which is a blockchain.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we're easing to just about an hour. Thank you everyone who attended. This was recorded, so we're going to update it and upload it to our YouTube channel, as well as share it on our Housing Joint Venture LinkedIn. Thanks for everyone who attended today and for the great engagement and questions. I appreciate your time. I hope this was very helpful, and we're going to be doing kind of bi-monthly webinars pretty consistently. So I hope you guys can attend the next one. So once again, thanks for attending, and I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar here.